Hi everyone, it's Alice Morgan here as your UC for EDU20004, Understanding and Supporting Behaviour. And today we have your assignment 3, Flipped Collab. We respectfully acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land on which Swinburne's Australian campuses are located. We are honoured to recognise our connection to the Wurundjeri country, history, culture and spirituality through these locations, and strive to ensure that we operate in a manner that respects and honours the elders and ancestors of these lands. So assignment 3 is a case study. It has a word limit of 1,200 words, give or take 10%, and it's worth 30% of your grade. It's due at 5 p.m. at the beginning of week 12. So assignment 2, the folio, it asked you to briefly respond to 3 scenarios with 1 resource and 1 strategy. But this assignment, assignment 3, requires you to engage with a case study in much more detail and consider how you would respond as a teacher to support and guide each child's behaviour. In completing this assignment, you will draw together everything you've learned in this unit, such as theoretical frameworks, policies and models considered in the unit to respond to a range of behaviours displayed in the learning environment. You are required to create strategies and describe these in your response, considering how they would support inclusive and ethical practices with families, community and support agencies. This assignment supports unit learning outcomes 2, 5 and 6. So you will select one of the following case studies, which we will come to in a moment, and you will write a 1,200-word case study response in which you will reflect upon the behaviour displayed in the learning environment and describe how you will incorporate behaviour theory frameworks, as well as policy frameworks and models to respond to the behaviours displayed. You will create and discuss strategies in your response about how you can support strength-based practices with families and community, and you will enlist the support of external agencies to support the child or children, the educational setting and the families. So here we have your first choice. So before we start delving into Ruby's case study, it's important that you understand that you're just going to choose one of the following. So you will choose either case study 1 or case study 2 or case study 3. So I encourage you to pause this recording now and read in more depth about Ruby, and then we will come back and look at some keywords here. Okay, so Ruby, she is a 5-year-old in the kindergarten where you're the teacher. She loves physical activity. She has a bit of difficulty losing or waiting for a turn. She's got great verbal skills, but doesn't always listen to instructions when asked to stop chatting. She's great with art and enjoys it. She's had several outbursts since she began attending the kindergarten just only 3 months ago. She's actually been physically aggressive towards other children, striking out, punching and kicking. And she's also been noticed pinching and running away. These incidents have been observed and documented, but formal conversations with her family have not taken place, only informal ones, and they don't think her behaviour is a concern. So you might be considering choosing that case study. Let's have a look at case study 2. This one is about Rufus. He is a 3-year-old who's always seemed happy and cognitively engaged with learning, but in recent weeks, he has started to become withdrawn. Upon observation, he does appear isolated and he doesn't play with the other children. He's reluctant to join in group activities, but he's very quiet and doesn't really contribute. When chatting with his family, they've actually said that they see no changes with him at home. And when he returns home from kinder, he actually tells them about all the things he has been doing. So that's your other option. You might choose case study 2. Your final option is case study 3, and it involves 3 girls called Cassie, Ella, and Amy. They are 4 years old and they love playing in the home corner or dramatic play areas. Cassie and Ella often lead the play scripts and Amy's often left out from play. You've noticed that she is actually told that she's not allowed to enter and she has to stand and watch rather than going and finding other children to play with. You and your co-educator have observed and tried to guide Amy with skills so that she can enter the space. but when she does enter with the other girls, she has to be the baby or the dog and isn't allowed to move or speak. She does like a range of learning experience and she has a baby brother. Her family says she has good social skills and family friends and interacts with her cousins. She enjoys coming to kindergarten, but she has started to speak about some of the children are mean to her. So that is your third and final choice. So you just have to choose case study 1 or 2 or 3. So what should you include in your case study? When approaching your response, you only are given a snapshot of information about the learner. So you need to give careful consideration when providing strategies and giving reasons for the behavior. Your case study response should include an introduction and a conclusion, an identification of the behaviors and analysis of the reasons why you think they are happening, using evidence to support this, identification, creation, and discussion of a variety of effective strategies and interventions that could guide the child in the case study to self-regulate their behaviour within the environment. Identification of how you would prepare and plan within the physical and social learning environment to contribute to the child's relationship with others and learning. And of course, you should include a reference list. So just continuing on from what you should include in your case study, we would like you to have an identification of family, cultural, and ethical considerations related to your chosen case study. So number 1 or 2 or 3, including a discussion about how you would support inclusive and ethical practices with families and community. You should have an identification of relevant support agencies that will support the child or children's learning and support teachers and family understandings. You should have a consideration and discussion of policy frameworks, strategy and models, and how you would apply and make use of these. Consideration and discussion of the behaviour learning theories that have been covered in this unit that are applicable to your case study, and how they will be used to guide your approach to behaviour management. And of course, again, a reference list. Now, our essential reading for this unit is Porter 2016. So we would really love to see that present in your reference list to show that you've engaged with that literature. So here we have a suggested plan, and following this plan will help you ensure that you've got everything covered in your case study. So we've got an introduction where you'll just introduce the key ideas and briefly touch on the case study. Then your first body paragraph, you will identify the behaviours present in the case study. You will analyse the reasons of why you think that the behaviours are happening, use evidence to support this. You might include theory and policy that's been covered in the unit. You should use the same 2 or 3 behaviour theories throughout your work. Then you will have another body paragraph with strategies and interventions. So here you will identify, create and discuss effective strategies and interventions that could guide the child in the case study to self-regulate their behaviour. And of course, you might think of what theory or policy you might include here. Another body paragraph on social learning environment. Identify how you would prepare and plan within the physical and social learning environment to contribute to the child's relationship with others. And you can read more about that in the week 7 module. Consider what theory and policy you might include here. Another body paragraph on family, cultural and ethical considerations. You can read more about that in week 10, including a discussion about how you would support inclusive and ethical practices with families and community. Now, inclusive is the key word here. You don't need to imply a possible cultural background, but you do need to consider various families and ethical considerations. And you can read more about that in module 8.3. And please do consider theory and policy here. And you will need to have another paragraph that considers external support organisations. So identify relevant support agencies for the child in the case study, and agencies that support teachers and the family understandings. And you can find more about that in the week 12 module. Finally, we will need a paragraph on policy frameworks, strategy and models, and discuss how you would apply and make effective use of these. what behaviour management or other policies should be in place. So you might consider individual state or territory behaviour management policies. You might delve into behaviour management policies from schools or early learning centres. You could also link in EYLF, ASEQA, and state and national agencies here. It's also important to have another body paragraph on theory. So ensure that you consider and discuss the behavioural learning theories that have been used to guide your approaches to behaviour management. So here is where you will link back all your ideas that you have discussed throughout, link this back to your chosen theories. And some of these ideas will already be linked throughout your work or weaved throughout. Okay, then you will have a conclusion. And this is where you briefly summarize and conclude your key ideas. So with your conclusion, it shouldn't be introducing any new information or quotes or anything that hasn't been discussed in the body of your work. So don't put any surprises in here. It should just be a mere reflection of the key points that you've covered. So some supporting resources for you. On the A3 page on Canvas, you'll see the red arrow on the screen here is pointing to a document that you can download to type your assignment in there. We call that a planning template. So you won't actually submit your work in this template. You will submit your work in a Word document that is typed in paragraphs. But this template, previous students have found useful just to make sure that they're getting in all their ideas and not missing anything. So if you would like to use that template just for your draft writing stage, you can find it on the A3 page on Canvas. So the outline, as I just said, the template for your assignment just ensures that you meet the rubric requirements. Please don't submit your work in this. You'll have to copy your work across to a Word document. You'll write your case study after you've answered the supporting questions in the template. Answering these questions should help most students pass the assignment. If you like, the questions can be included as headings in your final submission or worked into the text, or you could just use them as a guide. Since the structure isn't specified in the rubric, you can structure your response the way you like. So here you'll see on the bottom of the page here, we've got a sample list of your body paragraph. So introduction, then you address the behaviours and the reasons, then you discuss strategies and interventions, the physical and social environment, followed by family, cultural and ethical considerations, then policy frameworks and external support organisations, and your behaviour framework, strategies and models, a conclusion and a reference list. So that's just one way to do it. Now, assignment criteria, your submission will be assessed against these following 5 criteria. So we need to see a knowledge and understanding of children's behaviour, a critique and analysis of the case study provided, whichever one you choose, the application of teacher strategies, resources, and effective learning environments, the application of ethical approaches to working with families and support agencies, and a level of academic expression, including writing conventions, grammar, APA referencing, punctuation, spelling, sentence structure, word choice, and English literacy. So I'm not going to read you all of these bullet points in the past criteria. You're more than welcome to pause this recording and read through it yourself. But what I do encourage you to do is ensure that you work through this list as a bit of a checklist. So ensure that once you've written your assignment, that you can go through and tick off all of these bullet points in the right-hand column to ensure that you've met them. So this is a holistic rubric, which means that the past criteria is the first building block. So you must meet all of this past criteria to begin to be marked in the credit and then the higher criteria range. So here we have the credit. So again, if you've met all of the past criteria, your ELA will then begin to see what they can mark off in the credit criteria. So this is the exact document that we mark off as well, which is why I'm encouraging you to ensure that you can go through and tick off all of these bullet points. So then we move over to the distinction. So again, ensure that you read this in depth. And if this is your target grade range, ensure that you can tick off all of these bullet points. And for the high distinction, again, you'll see there's much more detail provided even in these bullet points. And I will just point out to achieve a high distinction, the very final bullet point here says there are no referencing errors and external sources are referenced according to APA referencing conventions. And we have moved over to APA 7 now. Okay, if you need an extension, please provide a reason and a sufficient explanation for this. Now, extensions are not automatically approved. They are considered on a case-by-case basis. So you need to give your ELA a sufficient reason, even if it's a 48-hour reason, rather than just typing one word such as sick. Please give your ELA a little bit more information, such as, you know, the nature of your sickness, or yeah, just a little bit more detail so that we can understand your situation in case you need to come back to us for more time. Now, this is just an example screenshot here from another unit on the left, but you'll see with this red arrow, it's pointing down to request assignment extension. That's how you request an extension. We must have it all gone through this central tool because that's how we keep track of all the requests. Please don't email your ELA. It needs to come through the tool. Now, if you do need an extension, 48-hour extensions don't require a medical certificate, although we do require some kind of reason for the extension. If you need an extension for more than 48 hours, they must include evidence uploaded at the time of application. So please include a valid medical certificate for yourself, or if you're caring for a sick child or a sick adult, that we need to see the medical certificate for them, please. Or for example, you've been having laptop troubles and you had to put your laptop in to be fixed at the time of the assignment submission due date. We need to see the repair receipt for this, please. Okay, so we're just ensuring that people are submitting those at the time of application. Please don't submit your request and say, I can upload a certificate if required, and then press submit, because it won't be approved until the certificate is uploaded. So I would just save yourself the time and ensure that you're uploading your certificate at the time of application. Now, extra support, of course, at Swinburne Online, you have heaps of extra support available to you. You've got the discussion board thread to ask questions for your ELA to answer. We've got the assignment 3 Padlet. We've got all of the weekly discussion board activities. There will be a live collab and a short Q&A collab available for this assignment. You can always access Studiosity. There are writing resources on the Student Hub, and we have student coaches if you need extra support. Thanks, everyone. We're looking forward to reading your work.